This is the FRC Roundtable, coming to you all the way from Minnesota. Your host team 2052 Nightcrawler presents this weekly FRC gathering where FIRST robotics competition teams take cooperation off the field. Share your knowledge, give and get advice, solve a challenge, or celebrate what makes your team special. 3, 2, 1, go!
Hello and welcome to the Sunday night FRC Roundtable. My name is Scott Davis. I am a mentor for Team 2052 Nightcrawler.
And I'm Caleb, senior on Team 2052, and I'm the programming captain. We would like to welcome you to tonight's FRC Roundtable. We have a couple of housekeeping tasks to note before we start. The FRC Roundtable is recorded for YouTube and Spotify, so you must be 13 years or older to participate on the live call. If you are comfortable, please turn on your cameras while you are talking. Furthermore, the Roundtable is no longer exclusive to Minnesota teams. Mentors and students from all FRC teams can join and are very welcome to join. To find out more information, please check our privacy policy at team2052.com/roundtable. With that done, we'll go to our next section, What's on the Wiki. And for tonight, our topic is drive team selection. This goes over what Nightcrawler does to figure out their drive team every season. So we have our core values for what we want our drive team to be doing for our team. It's kind of the steps that each person will go through and going in depth into those steps. So we have a survey for getting that interest for joining the drive team. We have a rules test. Everybody has to do the rules test. Got to make sure you know what you're doing. And then we have more specified assessments based on the role that you're applying for. And through that, we determine our drive team each season that will give us the best success and a repeatable process that everybody understands. And if you're looking to find out more, just come over to team2052.com/wiki and you can read more.
All right, Caleb, thank you. Tonight's topic is being led by Team 2502 Talon Robotics. Talon was on, I don't know, there, my camera. There we go. Talon was on a month ago and back in December and shared with us some changes, restructuring they were doing on their engineering team and how they were on the engineering side of their team. And tonight they're back to share with us the business side of their team and how they structure and run that half of their team. So with that, Talon, folks, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. Yeah, to start, hi, I'm Charlotte. I am a junior, and then I'm one of the business captains on Talon. And then I will be presenting with my co-captain, Maida, who will introduce herself.
I'm Maida. I'm also a junior on the team, and I'm also a business captain on Talon.
Yeah. We have kind of a 30-minute presentation just about our team and then how we work. And then we have about an hour of group discussion. That'll be led by a couple of our leads. All right, to start, this is our team. We have been a team since 2007. You guys got a little bit about this a month ago, so I'll go pretty quickly. We have around 50 team members and 30 or some members. So yeah.
So our structure is kind of an interesting structure. It gives us an opportunity to have a lot of leadership on our team. However, we're very student run and mentor guided. So we have one mentor and a treasurer, and then we have 4 captains, 2 business, 2 build, and our 2 business captains oversee 6 business sub-teams who each have a specific job or thing that they run on the business side of our team. So we have an awards sub-team that helps write Woody Flowers, that helps with impact awards and anything like that. An inclusivity lead who works on making business and robotics more accessible to our community and more inclusive for our team members. a fundraising lead who works on fundraising for our team while partnering with local businesses and setting up fundraisers and events, a media lead who works on running our website, blog posts, and taking care of media and documentation on the team, an outreach lead who helps outreach and spread STEM further into our community, and a sponsorships lead who helps us work with companies to find sponsorships and raise a little bit more money for our team.
Yeah. And then adding on to that, each of our sub-team student leads have a mentor that is specific to them, just so that they have a further support system.
Charlotte and I as well, in order to give them more support, will each cover or help guide 3 of the 6 sub-teams. So they have a specific captain that they can reach out to if they have any questions or concerns.
Right. Now, this has been a structure that we have had for a little bit, but there's obviously some faults to it, and then there's some stuff that we have changed, which I'll go a little bit into. First of all, we have had a lot of struggles with business captains quitting and just not really liking the team a whole lot, which has been something that we're actively trying to talk about and try to work on, which we'll ask a little bit later into the kind of question section about how you guys kind of deal with that. We in the past have neglected teaching and documentation. This is something that we're also really trying to work on this year because we just haven't in the past. And then we've lost contacts or some outreach events due to that. Since we are such a heavy business sub team, we do around 4 events per month, I would say. Sometimes our leads can get overwhelmed and overworked. It's a problem. And then just also in general, one of the reasons that we made inclusivity, which Maida will get into a little bit later, was mostly because we relied a lot on open room in order to foster connections on our team. So instead of doing stuff outside of school or outside of robotics, people would just, meet their friends and robotics team members just in open room, which was a little bit harder to navigate. And then finally, we have some accessibility struggles within our team. Now on to our improvements.
So we've done quite a bit to try and improve a little bit of the faults that we mentioned on the last slide. First off, we added an inclusivity sub-team about 2 years ago, and this sub-team has a large focus of trying to improve connections within the team itself. So it leads team builders, which are further mentioned, but it also implemented something called the buddy system, which helped people foster connections on the team when they first joined. It does a lot in that regard. Also, us as captains and the builder captains on our team as well will check in with our leads weekly, ask them how they're doing, how their workload is, anything that we can do to support them, to make sure that their mental health and their ability to balance their school life, robotics life is continuing on, and to see if there's anything that we can do to support them as leadership. We also have team builders that we put on specifically for our leads. So both our deputies on our build side and our leads on our business side, there's a large number of our students that are in our leadership, and making sure that they're able to blow off steam and have fun with other people in leadership. So we run a lot of leads team builders. We also have monthly and consistent team builders within our team as well, not just for our leads, to help foster more connections, doing things like game nights, sledding, building snowman, Halloween team builder, and also DQ nights, which we will start implementing, which are just every Friday during build season to kind of have some fun at the end of the week. We're going to go to Dairy Queen and just hang out as friends. To help make our team a little bit more accessible, we have safety conversations at team meetings and talking about being safe physically, mental health resources, how to take care of yourself, and also just how to stay safe in the current political climate that we have going on as well. And finally, we are making sure to foster better connections with companies specifically. So with outreach and sponsorships, every event we go to, we go around, just talk to the local businesses, put our name out there a little bit more, and documenting a lot more companies and connections and contacts just in general.
Ooh, will it click to the next slide. There we go. Expanding a little bit onto what Maida said, we do have one of our faults was documentation, and some of the things that we're trying to fix with that is that we created something called a Talon Business Binder. So because we do a lot of events and because of the fact that the community and judges just simply do not know, we created a binder of every single event. We can talk about this a little bit more later, but the gist of it is we have a couple of paragraphs describing what it is, maybe some stats, and then some photos of the event. And this has been really beneficial to kind of just have a tangible way of seeing how much we've done and just kind of the cool things that we've done. And then we also have a statistics spreadsheet that we're trying to do just to track how many people are at each events, and then like how many people at each events we're outreaching to, stuff like that. With also documentation and training, we have leads and captains binders. These are like what are they called? Yeah, just binders, where it has all of the just general information on how to lead a sub team. You can see on the slide, this is a fundraising example. So there's like event guides, how-tos, just so in case maybe a lead has to leave a little bit early for college and they're not able to teach absolutely everything, the next lead can kind of look back and see what they did. Kind of expanding onto that, each of our sub-team meetings has agenda notes that are stored. And then finally, for our sponsors, we have a sponsorship packet, kind of describes everything. And then we also created something new this year, patrons, and then they also have a packet. I am sorry about that add more photos page.
However, so we also have a very prominent media sub team on Talon. Our media lead is here as well, but this is a large part of how we document everything that we do, making sure that we are able to preserve information and just kind of preserve everything that we do on the team. So it's easier to run it as time moves forward and as we learn more lessons and how everything works. We have blog posts that we post weekly. They are available on our website, team2502.com. However, they're a great way for family, friends, grandparents to see how everything's going on, but also for, maybe build members who might not have been there that week to see, oh, like this is what we got done on the robot. This is where we're at, and just to stay more involved. Our website just has a ton of information in general. It has it has lettering requirements. It has our team calendar to see for anyone to see what events that we have, when open rooms are. It has all of our past and current sponsorships, everything that we've won. Just in general, it's a pretty big catch-all for any information that you might need on the team. We also last year put in a proposal and got Adobe Lightroom, which is a paid subscription. However, it's a really great way to organize and keep track of pictures, which are very important. Obviously, so we have documentation and are able to see the team and spread those pictures out on social media or to communities, but also so we can document what our robot looked like and systems that we put in place. And we have social media that gets updated regularly: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Facebook is mostly for, parents who might want to see what's going on. Our Instagram and YouTube is a lot more for the students, tends to be a lot more lighthearted. We recently put a video on YouTube of us pretending to be robots and playing our rebuilt game just to see how that would go in real time. So, however, they do carry a lot of information. Our Instagram constantly updates what we're doing, when open rooms are, when events are, and when we're competing, and when our matches are as well.
And then finally, just a little bit more about our events. We have invitational events, which is where these are reoccurring and we get invited to them. Some examples are stuff within kind of our community, like Harvest Halloween, Sparkle Fest. IEEE is one of our sponsors, and they do a picnic that we host at. Then we have something called RSI STEM Night, which is at a local elementary school, and then more. We do a lot of sponsor events, which could be company tours, where we tour their company and their facilities, and then robot demos, where we go to their company and kind of show them how cool robotics is. And then this is what I mentioned earlier. We try to have around 3 to 4 events per month. And then also genuinely with events, we do have a pretty extensive planning process that Vicky, if she would like, can go more into if she's on the call.
This is like also something that we can talk about in the discussion, but seeing as we have such a vast and productive business side, we're able to, if a company reaches out to us and they're like, hey, we would love if you come demo at a dinner that we have, like we presented at Lions Club, then our sub team for or outreach would go through the process of what should we bring, what should we do, when is it, and just make sure that everyone on the team is a knows the information to go and is able to talk about our team in a capacity that it's like we're cool, we know what we're talking about.
All right. Now we're going to move on to a little bit of our open discussion. So leads, any of the leads that are here from the Talon side, would you guys like to talk about this, or would you like me to facilitate this?
This is also open discussion to any other teams that are here to talk a little bit about their own documentation and how that might differ or be similar to our own.
Yeah, these are just sample questions that I will go over. Like I said, one of the things that we have struggled with a lot is documentation. So how do you guys document events? If nobody answers, then we can have one of our teammates do it and then see if anybody else would like to.
Charlotte, are you asking how do you keep track of what events you've done and sort of the impact of that event? Is that what you're looking for here?
Yeah, or you can interpret it however.
It's also a lot more of how do you guys like document the process of planning events so people know how to do it year after year if you're a team that does a lot of annual things or bigger traditional events.
Yes, Caleb.
I'm sure Scott's itching to say it, but like he's been working a lot on the what we call the wiki. That's where we document all of our processes. As much as we can put on there, we've been putting on there. We put our packing lists for competition, how we're hosting like picnics, what we need to pack for picnics. So in terms of like processes we're keeping track of year over year, we've been trying to put those up on the wiki.
Yeah, we started this process because the mentors hang around a lot longer than the students. And every year we have does anyone know where we put this planning list? And so we're searching Google Drive and maybe we're running into something from 2018 or 2023 or something like that. And for the longest time or forever, everything's been in Google Drive, and Google Drive can be, well, any online drive can be kind of tricky to manage. I'd love to hear if someone has an organization method that they use. But we decided that this isn't anything that needs to be secret for our team. And so we decided that we were going to make a wiki and just put it on the website. And I put up the new Drive Team article tonight, just before the meeting, and realized that several students and a couple of mentors have added several new documents that I need to get published now. So I need to go through and look at all the new stuff that's been added to we have a folder in Google Drive. So students and mentors dump stuff in that folder, and then the website team publishes it, which sometimes that's just me because it's whoever's available to get it done. But anyway, that's how we're doing it. In terms of tracking, we don't really track the impact of every event. We're not, we've discussed it, but we don't have any centralized place that we're keeping track of how many people came, and things like that to the events that we do.
Yeah, I do want to add a little bit of context on the second question. How do you document the people you reach out to and how do you store your contacts? So contacts and things would mainly be for, like fundraising, outreach, sponsorships, keeping relationships with companies. We, up until this year, have been using Neon CRM in order to track and store all of our contacts for companies. However, Neon is very expensive. So we're currently in the process of trying to switch over to MailChimp, which is a different place, which kind of does the same thing, different CRM. But if anybody has any other ways that they track and store, maybe without a CRM or just like how they do it, that would be a really great one to talk about a little bit more.
I will say that back in the day during the COVID, when Nightcrawler was doing all of the face shield printing, and we had hundreds of contacts from our community outreach with working with the face shield stuff. We did put all those contacts into a CRM system. I honestly do not remember the name of it. It was a free system if you're under so many thousand contacts. And we ended up never really using it. And part of the challenge here is that it's about access. It's about who's got the username and password, or somebody go create an account, we'll add you to the organization, or we'll send you an invite. Um, Although those things seem to be a pretty have for us have been a pretty big barrier, which is why we try to keep everything in Google Drive, or now on the website as well. So basically, if it's not in Google Drive or it's not in GitHub, because that's where our website is, um, it can be really tricky for us to manage information outside those two systems, because it's all about access, um, in terms of managing it, who's going to manage it, and who's going to get access.
Thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. I think one of the main reasons we asked this question was because we accidentally had our students use their 6400 account, which is the school's account, kind of make a bunch of docs. And then our sponsorship lead of 3 years left the team, and then we lost everything. So that's kind of why we started this, because we're like, oh no, like, how do we do this? What happened? So we appreciate that answer. The next one, this will be kind of more mentor focused. I don't know if many students keep track of the earnings per se, but how do you guys kind of keep track of that? I know that we use a spreadsheet, but sometimes either through the school or the companies, everything gets a little bit jumbled up. So if you guys have a more clear answer, that would be great.
I can give just a little bit of more context on what our team does to see if anyone does it similarly, but we have a purchase form that is accessible to all of our leads. And whenever they put something in that purchase form, our treasurer will greenlight the purchase, and then that will automatically go into a spreadsheet. I see that Tanya Drake put something in the chat if they want to give a little bit more detail.
I think they can't talk. So do you want to read it out loud?
I can turn it on. So you were talking about losing everything when the students use their district email. I don't know if your coaches or mentors are allowed to make a shared drive in that account, but if they are, when you put things in the shared drive, they become owned by the shared drive. And so therefore, when our students graduate, we don't lose things that they create if they move them to the shared drive if they make them in the shared drive. So I don't know if that's a feature that all districts have, but we have a shared drive in our district. So
thank you. That is something that we will definitely look more into. Yeah.
And is your Charlotte, on that topic, do you know, is your team2502.com domain a Google hosted domain?
Audrey can actually answer this one. She's here.
So I am trying to figure out the specifics of our domain myself, actually. I know that we host our site through WordPress and Cloudflare, so I'm not quite sure about the Google domain. We are .com. Okay. I can always look into that and get more specifics.
So the reason I ask is because our account, team2052.com, is a Google managed domain, and so we have Gmail accounts for our mentors and our captains at team2052.com.
Oh, we have
which
those
comes
for
with
our
Google
team as well.
And so it comes with Google Drive. So the shared drive thing, if you can do it within your school and you can get a shared drive, that's cool. But if you can do it through your team account, then you could do that too. And you can also give access to students that are using a district email with a shared drive that way. So that's what we do. It's a similar thing to what Tanya was just saying, is that we create all of our documents in the shared drive, and then there's always somebody there who will have access to it regardless of who created it, as long as it's in the shared drive.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think that's something we would definitely look into a little bit. I think Nate has got some more to say about that.
I was just going to say, if I may ask a follow-up question. So we have specific team emails for our 4 captains and then our head mentor. However, hosting team emails can get quite expensive. So do you guys have like one shared email that your entire team uses, or how does that work a little bit more closely?
Well, we're a registered nonprofit, so we're a 501c3. Do you guys have a nonprofit?
Our like First is a nonprofit, but I think
No.
we're registered as a 501c1 or just a school affiliated organization.
Okay. So that might be the difference for us is that we're a 501c3, so we have our own tax ID and all of that stuff. And so I bet that our Google account for our website is as a nonprofit, which is why we get the G Suite, the basic G Suite for free. So yes, it can be expensive if you have to do it as an org. And honestly, we may be grandfathered in. Google went through a whole pricing change a couple of years ago. The business that I owned, we were a G Suite registered thing, and I moved everything out of Google when they were changing the pricing because we didn't use hardly any of the features that we would have been paying for. And so I just got different email. And we had already had Drive Space through a different vendor. So we weren't using Google Drive or any of that stuff, or we didn't need to use it. And I know that a lot of companies did that, and then they kind of backtracked on their pricing some. So pricing is really tricky with Google. It was really expensive. It's less expensive now. It still could be too expensive for what you want to do. But if you have a tax ID and you're a registered nonprofit, I don't know how their program works today because again, we've had this email account for probably 15 years, but you might be able to get it for free or almost free through nonprofit pricing if applies to you guys.
That is really interesting. We will definitely work on the 501c3 like tax ID. And
I was gonna say, yeah, that's a very kind of new perspective that we've heard on it.
So
Make sure your school would allow you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
An external booster club. You know, most schools are going to consider you a booster club, and depending on how much money if you're managing your money outside of the school, there's all kinds of things that you should check with your district. Check with your district finance people on that. I know a lot of teams are running a 501c3 nonprofit because they are required to manage their money outside the school, or it's the only way they can reasonably have any type of control over the money they raise and get access to it when they need it. But always make sure that you check with your district on policy for booster club and things like that. Use the word booster club because that's how they're going to understand it.
So we in Ashby, we're fairly young, so we don't have a well-established business models like some of you guys do. But it really helps a lot to work everything through the business office of the school because I remember I was applying for a grant and they asked about our expense form, and all I had to do was ask our business lady, and she gave me every stinking write up for everything we purchased. And we have full autonomy how we use our money. We track sponsors through Google Drive. So there are certain sponsors that we hit up every year, do demos for, uh, you know, make follow up phone calls and tours and those things, and we track those through Google Drive. But when the check comes in, it's written to the school, but with robotics in the reference, and how we spend that money, it's up to us. And that's also a good thing for small teams like ours too, because sometimes when it involves money and one or two adults running a program in a small town school or even anywhere, some people just one little thing that they don't understand, they will start to throw an accusation. And there was one incident like that last year where somebody thought, oh, I was booking hotel for some. But anyway, long story short, was one of my mentor, cousin who's mentor, and he does it for free. And the least we can do is book him his own hotel room so he doesn't have to share with my wife, myself, and my kids. And so, but that kind of stuff when it came to light, it was easy to clear it out. It was, there was nothing. So sometimes having your own booster, your booster account, even then still and managing that fund through the school, like Scott said, talk to your business office. It has its perks because when somebody throws an accusation, it's like ask Miss Melby, and she would throw right out. So that's 4. It is 7-8.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank
Does
you so
anyone
much.
have any thing kind of on the topic of earnings before we move to the next documentation question? All right.
I
And then,
can share if you're interested in how we manage accounting. Is that what you're basically asking? Is how do you track the finances?
yeah, absolutely.
Nightcrawler has, if you go to the wiki, there's a whole section on accounting, and there's a 5.5 hour training series of training videos that I built for the mentor that would come on behind me in terms of how we track our accounting, how we file taxes, all of that stuff. We show that there's a whole bunch of stuff out there that anybody can go read and watch. I know at least one other team has adopted our process, but we moved to a custom built system running on Google Sheets for primarily for the governance thing that Jeremiah was just talking about, where all mentors at any point in time can see every single line item of what was purchased or where sponsorship money or donation money came from. It includes sort of a privacy screen in there so that we can track money per student, but you can't see which student it is. So we give each student like student 1, student 2, student 3, so that so the treasurer can know who's paid what. But the people that are looking at the ledger can't see what money came from what student. And then what was the other thing I was going to say about this? Oh, and then anytime any activity against our bank account happens, so a withdrawal happens or a deposit happens, we have an automated email that goes to a central emailing list that then all of the mentors see, and I think it drops in Slack as well, so we can see, hey, a deposit was made for $5,000 or a withdrawal was made for $1,400. And then if a mentor was like, wait a minute, where'd that money come from? They can just ask, and I can say, oh, this was a deposit from the sponsor, or we paid the credit card bill this month and it was a bunch of Andy Mark. So we really try to do a very good job of having open governance among everybody in the leadership group. And then finally, every time I do the books, which is about once a month, I send out a complete ledger summary of our budget versus actuals, and all of our student captains see that as well.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Oh, and with like I was saying with Ashby, the good thing also with accountability part is because it goes through the school business office. Every board meeting they have to go through the finances of the school and all the student organization, and so as a result of that, that also is shown on there what came in and what went out and what's the total and that sort of thing.
Thank you. I think Stacy had something to say as well. Stacy Foreman.
Hello, I'm the finance mentor for 2472, and we're using a modified tracking system from the Nightcrawler platform to track our expenses. And something that we do is the students have a wish list of all the parts and things they want to buy, and then on that we just kind of as we purchase them, it tracks against the budget, so they have an understanding of how much they have left and in which categories that they have to spend. And if your team does pursue a 501c3 public charity, I have a CPA license, and I'd be more than happy to assist you in getting that paperwork filed. So reach out to 2472, and they know where to find Mrs. Foreman.
Thank you so much. We would really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have anything on this question before we move on to the last one? Cool. So how does your team document processes to make sure you can pass on knowledge? Talon does this in a bunch of different ways. I would say kind of the first way that we implemented about 2 years ago was through our leads binders, which are a collection of tips, tricks, processes, directions on how how a lead should kind of do everything in their position, and our outreach, inclusivity, and fundraising leads in specific do plan a lot of events. And in their binders, most of them have a kind of how-to or list of everything that should be done to plan every event and the process to doing that. Our sponsorship lead in his document has a lot about the process of grants, reaching out to companies, cold emailing, cold calling. And we also have our business binder, which Charlotte mentioned earlier, which is like an engineering binder where you kind of explain the processes and how you built the robot and how you came to those ideas. Our business binder does the same thing. It documents a lot of what we do in each event, the impact of that event, and how we came about to doing that event or planning or beginning that event. So if anyone on our team has any more that I missed or anybody wants to share what they do on their team, that would be really great to hear. Well, I know our outreach lead is on the call, so if she wants to talk a little bit about how she documents the process of planning any of the outreach events that we do on Talon, that would be really wonderful.
Okay. Well, usually we get like emailed or we get reached out to about coming back to an event, or sometimes we'll see an event through our school, like this Give Gathering fair that was going in Prairie. And so we'll usually just like if we have prior knowledge on doing that event, then maybe we'll reach out to a previous lead, or we'll start from the ground up. Like, will we be needing a robot? Then how do I get a robot? What robot will we be using? um I guess each process is pretty much the same, but sometimes it's a little different. Like for Boss for Tots event, we're like focusing on the donate part of our event. So like people like please donate toys. I know that last year the outreach lead or like our lead binders was a new thing this year. So pretty much everyone kind of started at base level where they're kind of new to their position and they have to learn everything. But a new thing that we've learned is that if we have how to do this event or how to write an email or stuff like that, then it's so much easier to get new people into positions and like kind of pushing that business aspect of robotics. I think that's about it.
All right, nobody else would like to share. We can move on to our next set of questions, which will be media. Luckily, our media lead, Audrey, is on the call today, so she will be taking this section over.
All right, so I just wanted to do kind of a little introductory, more icebreaker question, which is what social media platforms do y'all's team consider super important? I know on Talon, we use Instagram and Facebook primarily. In theory, we use TikTok, but we don't post on that a ton. And then I also recently restarted our YouTube. So like aside from your team websites, how do you guys use your social medias? Like what platforms?
Well, I can say, okay. Go for it.
Yeah, Chris.
Hi, this is Chris with 5464 Blue Jacket Robotics, and recently we just were acquired a social media team and sub team where in years past we haven't had any students that were posting. So this year we're utilizing Facebook and Instagram, and then trying to create some content as well for our website.
Thank you, Chris.
I can
And
jump in.
jumping-
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead, Tanya.
As I say, I'll jump in. I didn't tell me last time who I was from. I'm from 3291. We have a pretty strong social media presence. Our team members build content, and our coaches and mentors right now are posting it out. We have the most engagement on Instagram by far. We post everything that goes on Instagram to Facebook. We do a lot of TikTok as well. We get slightly lower engagement there. And we're going to try and work on rebuilding our website over the next couple of years, but we'll see how that goes. We are this year being really careful, though. We are pausing a little bit in order to protect the identity of our students at the moment.
Yeah, I know our team, we had everyone's headshots on the website, and we very recently removed that due to just privacy concerns. All right, thank you. So kind of jumping on to talking about websites, this one's kind of a two-parter, but I got one on the slide. So what are the most important features for your website if you have one? I know Nightcrawler mentioned their wiki a bit, which seems super cool. And then kind of adding on to that, our website, that's usually what people see when they look up your team. It's the first thing. So you really got to carry your team brand. Does anyone have like a very specific team branding style they use that gets communicated there? If anyone has anything for either part of that, they can just jump on right in.
Yeah, this is Chris again, 5464. We just went through kind of a rebranding, worked with a graphic designer to generate a new team specific logo just for the robotics team. And so we've incorporated a lot of that into our website. And but as far as the most important feature on our website, I would say it's sponsor recognition, trying to make sure that anybody and everybody who sees our website is flooded with imagery of our sponsors.
Does anyone else have anything to add? Thank you, Chris.
I can share that Nightcrawler, this is our 20th year, so we just did a logo rebranding and we held sort of an informal contest. Contest isn't really the right word. We asked for submissions from our students and mentors for a new logo design. And then the leadership group, we asked for feedback. Voting is also not the right word, but preferences from the students on which logo they like the best. And then the leadership group met, went through the logo designs, talked about which one, what they liked of each aspect. And then we sort of made a mix mash of 3 particular designs that we liked. And then we made modifications to our logo. And so that's up on the website now. At least it's on the homepage. We haven't gone through and cleaned up all of the logos to be the new logo. And then from a branding point of view, I mean, we have our 2 colors, our gold and maroon, and we try to be consistent with the font sizes and things like that on the site. We could do better. It might be a big initiative over the summer to clean up some of that branding stuff. In terms of what's on the website, though, we actually did a survey in October to parents and students of why do they visit the website. And the number one reason why people came to the website was to find the calendar. So that was the number one reason why people came to the website, was looking for the calendar. The second biggest reason was to figure out how to make a payment online or make a donation. And so that was really helpful when we did that survey of why do you visit the website? Because we also asked how easy is it to find the things you're looking for. One of our students wanted to do sort of a re-navigation of the website, what's in the menus and how do you get to it. And so we started by trying to figure out why do people go to our website and what is it they're looking for. So that work is ongoing. We're trying to make improvements on that site throughout the year.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. All right. I think. So does anyone else? Yep. You with your hand up. Sorry, just noticed that. Do you want to have anything to add?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. I don't know if my mic works.
Yep.
I'm from Talon Robotics, and I think one of the most important features of our website is like our images on it, which I think kind of leads to our next question. But like we have like a section under our website where like we separate our images within like each event. So like if like people go onto our website and go and click on it, like they can see like kind of like a perspective on like, oh, how did that event go and like what like went on in it, basically.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know on our team's website, I think it's probably not our most important page, but I'm a little biased because I added it and it's my favorite. We've got a little page going through kind of the history of all of our robots. So that's always something super cool. And people get to see the one from their year. Yeah, and then thank you for the segue, but Does anyone's team have any method for storing and editing photos and videos? I know on our team, we use Lightroom to store all of our photos, as well as backing them up onto Google Photos, because we found Lightroom does sometimes like to just delete albums. And for editing those and editing videos, we mostly edit them on Lightroom, and we'll edit videos either on Canva or Adobe Express. But I am looking for some different software for our impact video, as those two can test me sometimes. But yeah, does anyone have anything for that? Especially the longer form content, if anyone makes it.
I will share that we use Google Drive for the archives, basically, of all the images. For anything that goes on the website, we try to create a Google photo album, and then we link to the Google photo album. I will say that it's been quite some time since we've done that. It's hopefully going to be a to-do item for our media team this year to start using Google photo albums again. But that's how we are sort of creating images to be shared online, besides all the stuff we post on social media.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add, or should we move on to the final question?
I'm from 2530. We're kind of basic in the sense that we just put everything in the drive and then we sort it by like either the competition or like the week it is kind of. And then for our vlogs and stuff for long form, we use mostly just like the free version of CapCut or DaVinci Resolve. And we recently got the entire Adobe suite for our team members, but we find that it's honestly a little too technical for long term, and just using CapCut or DaVinci Resolve makes the process much faster. But we have been working with After Effects just to make like intros and outros. But
Okay. I kind of want to take a brief second to kind of bridge this question and the final question together with a couple of follow-ups, such as, does your team have does anyone's teams have any processes for deciding who gets to take photos, who gets taught the social medias? Does your media team kind of emerge naturally, or is there a bit more of a selection process to it? Like I know on our team, we do camera trainings, and then the media lead will just be like, here's how you use the camera, here's how you use it safely, go. And then for social media accounts, we've recently been trying to give those away a little bit less. I know my first year we had like 5 people running the Instagram and we double posted almost everything. So we've learned from our past mistakes. But how do y'all's teams do it, especially teams that maybe not might have as large of a dedicated media team?
I can jump in first. Oh, go ahead. Jeremiah, please go first.
For the first time, we actually have a kid who's actually really, really excited about doing media. Last time we had one, he would just follow one student around. That was a bizarre thing. And I had to deal with that. But this one kid joined this year, and he's revitalizing our social media platform, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And so far this week, he posted like 2 things which were really impressive. And just listening to his voiceover, I was like, whoa, okay, buddy. So I'm really excited about what the future holds. And this is the same kid over the fall. He's been designing our website template. So we don't have a website yet. We're working on one. But just in the last 3-4 months of him being on the team, he's done so much more than I've seen anyone actually in the last 4 years try to do, including me. So I'm really impressed with the amount of effort that he's put in to this. Hopefully, I'm hoping that my kids in the next couple of years will be confident enough to come on this program, because I would like to hear their perspective here and also hearing other students' perspective too. That's kind of the coolest part about Roundtable, is listening to the students.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. Stacy, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, something that our team has done this year is implemented a content calendar of kind of when they want to be posting or what they want to be covering in each particular week, and making a more dedicated commitment to posting at certain intervals, and also some emails out to sponsors as well. And then they have formalized some of the camera training and have a checkout process, and at competitions and for other things, those are tasks that we use through our GitHub of who's going to do what when, just so we're making sure that someone is always covering each match, or now capturing kickoff and some of the build processes, so that gets specifically assigned to one of the team members.
Yeah, I know our team uses a schedule as well, but it's like I'm gonna put everyone's names on a Google Doc. It's not quite as sophisticated, so I think utilizing that might help us out a lot. And then Scott,
GitHub does help.
We also have camera training. This year we have basically a photography lead on our media team, and that student is in charge of all of our videography and camera training. We let anybody, including students that are on the build team or programming team, if they want camera training and they don't have something else to do, we do let them do that as long as it doesn't take away from other tasks, including, fogging down our media people that would need to do the training. But we've had students from non-business, non-media teams do photography, particularly at like off-season events and things like that, to give folks who might be interested a chance to try it out. But we do have training. We have tightened up who gets to do photography and videography at events. We've had too many issues of cameras being left in the stands or left behind. One time turned into lost and found. When you have an $800, $1,000 camera getting turned into lost and found, that's not a good day for anybody. So we have restricted that quite a bit. We have dedicated shifts where students are supposed to have the camera, so we know who's responsible, and they know that we know who's responsible, and that camera has to be carried with them at all times. On the social media side, we have a small group, 1 to 3 students who wanted to be fully dedicated to social media. All of our posts are done by an adult. So any content that we want to be posted on Instagram, Facebook, things like that, they get posted in our Slack channel. And then one of our adults reviews it, approves it, and then they'll the one that'll actually schedule it or just post it at that point in time. We have had students do the posting in the past. We've had mixed results with that. After needing to take down too many social media posts, we decided that we wanted to have a gatekeeper for that. So now I believe all of our social media posts are done by an adult. They're submitted by students on Slack, and then an adult will post them.
yeah, I know our team, we let students post. I do the majority of all of our posting for our site. But we do have kind of a general couple of rules of thumb where it's like if the school wouldn't post it, we shouldn't post it. And then it's also generally, I know with our blog posts and in theory with our social media posts, we have 3 people have to look at it, fully read it, fully say it's chill before it can be posted. So we have been fortunate enough to not have any really incidents with students posting, but we do kind of have a slight oversight to that. And then before to our last question, if any students have any questions or want to collab on anything concerning social media, you can reach us FRC_2502 on Instagram. That'll reach me directly, as well as both of our captains and a couple other people. So if you have any interest in that, you can just shoot us a DM. We tend to respond pretty quickly. Does anyone have anything to add to that before I get to the last question?
Could you share that contact info again?
Yes, it is FRC_2502 on Instagram. I will put that in the chat real quick.
Okay.
We also do have our captain's email, but if you have a social media or real idea, it would be more effective to DM on Instagram directly.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I'll share with our media lead.
All right, thank you so much. And then just for our last little question about media is, how does your team maximize social media for team and community engagement? That's kind of I know to get more technical on our team, we emphasized fundraisers and events a lot more heavily on Facebook, but we put the fun posts more on Instagram because we know Facebook reaches parents, Instagram reaches team members, and we're going to put our energy into the appropriate buckets for what we're trying to do. Does your team have any strategies like that? Or I know we try to do one fun, completely unrelated to our event work post a month. So does your team have any strategies for that? Do you look at your platforms? Do you look at your website? What are you guys doing for that?
Well, you just said something about Facebook and Instagram. I get what you're saying, but that's kind of presumptuous because I remember a couple years ago, a snowbird from Florida, from out of town, was so excited that we post things on Facebook, even it doesn't matter what it is, it kept her engaged. So as much you might want to, you know, preference certain platform for certain audience, I think your sponsors and your parents also might want the parents might also want to see the fun stuff too that's going on too. Just something to think about.
Great, thank you so much. I know we do generally cross post everything, but yeah, definitely looking a bit more into evening out our energy. Yeah, Tanya?
I was gonna say we almost always just cross post, mostly because it's just set up to automatically cross post. But I think we do have a plan in place. How well we follow it every year. My team's working really hard on that right now, but we do kind of make some different posts for some different audiences. Some that are dedicated to the students at our school, some that are for the robotics community, some that are for the adults that are supporting and following us, and some that are for our sponsors, but we do tend to cross post them everywhere, maybe to Jeremiah's point of letting everybody see them, but we definitely see differences in engagement on different types of posts on different platforms.
That's exactly what I was saying. Thank you, Tanya.
Does anyone have anything to add? Or maybe stuff like what you're putting on your website? Like I know you guys mentioned easy to navigate. I know we've got our calendar in 2 different spots on our site just because we're like, where do people navigate when they look for the calendar? And we just put it in both spots. We were not even to try to figure that out quite yet. But I know we do weekly blog posts and we try to keep those a little mix of fun and professional. Like we don't have open room on Thursdays, so we just let team members write about whatever they want as long as they can theme it to the game. I had a guy write 5 paragraphs on crystal radios one time, but yeah. Does anyone have any like final comments regarding media? I know this has been a very productive conversation, so thank you guys all so much for contributing. All right, then I think we're good to move on if Charlotte and Maida want to take this back.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Audrey. Really appreciate you for talking there. And once I change the slide, next we're going to go a little bit about our events led by Vicky, our outreach lead.
Okay, so our first question was like, how do you find opportunities to attend and host events? I'm bummed that our head mentor Ellie could not be here because she's definitely one of our she's definitely the reason that we get connections to doing a lot of events or just like pushing us to do more. But we really do enjoy like finding new events and then building those relationships annually. So it's mostly through, for our team, it's mostly through mentors doing it previous years or just looking in our community to see like what, like, do we have the time to do it and what would it take out of our team?
I can also add a little bit more to that if nobody will speak. We also find opportunities, like Vicky said, through like emails. We've gotten kind of well known kind of in our community for just saying yes to things. So we will sometimes come across quite different responses or like asks. For example, RSI STEM night, this was from a school that we don't actually go to, but they wanted us there and their school board messaged us, and that was a really cool opportunity. Yes, Audrey?
Kind of speaking to the well-known in our community, we work very closely with our local news organization as well as the city itself, which means that we get a lot of opportunities by being directly invited to city events. Kind of as just a little personal anecdote, I work under the city. My boss is the head of Parks and Rec department, and she quite literally jumped for joy when we said we would be at the Halloween event our city puts on. So I think really just getting that relationship and maintaining it can lead to a lot of great moments and opportunities.
I think another really great way as well that we're able to get a lot of connections is our students being high school students makes it really helpful to get those sort of connections because a lot of businesses and organizations in our community will ask for like volunteering. For example, we were very recently putting on a demo at our local mall, and literally like 2 feet from us, there happened to be a animal shelter who was also putting on a demo there, and our there was a puppy that got a selfie with our robot, and they were able to, get some of our high school students to volunteer. And in that way, it helps us create a lot more connections because we're able to get our name more out there while also benefiting other businesses as well by putting time into them a little bit more.
You can move on.
I'm curious to know, you said you do about 4 events a month. I'd love to know what you've done in January. What were your events that you've done during build season when things are so busy?
Well, by events, we usually include like anything that wasn't really billed. So for January, we would have concessions. So at our middle school, they would reach out to us about like a speech tournament, and they're curious to see if we'd be able to sell concessions, and then we get a little money from that, and also some exposure of just like, yeah, some robotics kids are selling me some snacks outside. For outreach, we didn't really have our RSI STEM night got postponed, but we also were invited to a Minnesota School Board conference through our head mentor Ellie, and we were able to just speak to school board administrators across the state about like, this is robotics and you should finance your robotics programs because they are awesome. So we were joined by some other robotics teams like Techno Tigers, and I think I'm blanking on the other ones. But at in January, we did not have a lot going on because kickoff was going on, but usually in the off season, we are like maximizing our events.
Can I add a couple more real quick? We also had NAMI, so this is a mental health organization. They came in. EPLN did an article with us for a kickoff. We also had Caribou, a sponsor there. We had NAMI for mentors. We've had a strategy discussion that was hosted. It was an ice cream social, kind of, I think, the week after kickoff, or maybe even a couple days after. We had the school board. There was a Media Southwest Hub meeting. We had a team builder that was sadly canceled due to snow, but we had it online. And then we also have this roundtable and a sponsorship drive tomorrow in the month of January.
Maybe you already mentioned this. What is a sponsorship drive?
Yeah. Jamie, are you here? Do you want to talk a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so we're doing that tomorrow. So we have 3 groups of our students go around to local, mainly STEM companies in our area and ask if they would like to sponsor our team and just go on, and because I think it works better instead of just sending them an email to actually physically be there and physically talking to them. So tomorrow we'll have one group go to Eden Prairie, one group go to Bloomington, and one group go to Egan to talk to companies in those areas.
And this doesn't just have to be STEM companies. We have had a lot of companies sponsor us that aren't STEM. For example, just for the fun of it, we're going to go to Sun Country Airlines just for fun. They probably won't sponsor us, but it's good to be told no every once in a while.
We also get a lot of support actually through not just like monetary donations, but we do a big event in November called Robots and Rotini, in which we have a silent auction to raise a little bit more money. And a lot of companies just support us by giving us merchandise. I know we got merchandise from a local business at our mall that lets you host game shows with your family and friends. We got a basket from Lindt, like the chocolate makers. So that's another great way to get your name out and get more connections. Even if, companies do say no, maybe you'll see another company there and be like, hey, let's check it out. Or, maybe they'll talk about it a little bit more and want to support.
Did that answer your question on what a sponsorship drive is?
Yes, thank you. Do you guys make those appointments ahead of time with those companies you're stopping by, or are you just going to stop by and see if they'll see you?
We just walk right in. Maybe we should do some, but
no,
I think you're.
Sorry, this might help answer your question a little bit more, but we do have before our member.
I think she just lagged out. So we will go to Audrey.
Just gonna take a minute to kind of talk about our approach a little bit of how we don't cold call. I think our team, we were very fortunate. We got people like Charlotte made on here who were like, they will just cold call companies. And we found a lot more success with that because if you don't email in advance, they can't tell you no in advance. And it's a lot harder to say no to someone's face over email. So we do operate kind of in that more like we're going to be asking for forgiveness instead of permission. Obviously, we don't overstep any boundaries, but we found a lot of success with that.
All right, Vicky, do you want to take over?
Yeah. So if anyone else has anything to say about that, we can move on. How do you encourage team members to attend outreach events or inter-team events? On our team, I think I'm very fortunate to have a lot of friends who are willing to go to all of the events that we plan. But it's also like people are busy, but we need more people to be at events so that there's more exposure. So I was wondering, like, how do you guys encourage people to be like, if you're not doing anything on Saturday, want to come to the mall and just like be around there. Also, one of our things this year is we're really pushing to communicate with other teams, and we've hosted like a game night, and we also hosted a business roundtable with a team in, oh gosh, I forgot. But we like to reach out to teams and be like, hey, do you want to do something together? But usually they don't get a lot of attendance. So we were wondering if you guys have any tips on that. Audrey? Oh, never mind.
I was just gonna say that the team we hosted it with was King Tech. They are very nice. So if you guys ever want to work with them, they're incredible.
Yes, Chris.
Yeah, I can say, our team has about maybe 4 outreach events a year. And this
Do you
year
make those mandatory?
I'm sorry?
Do you make those mandatory to attend? Like for our Robots and Rotinis event, we make everyone who's going to do robotics come to the event.
Sure. So we started this year, created a handbook, and in there we kind of set some guidelines and rules on requirements in order to attend competition. And currently, we require them to attend one of those outreach events. And being our first year doing that, we'll kind of reassess and see how things go. But going so far, it's going really well.
Absolutely. One of the requirements for Talon is we also encourage people to attend however many events to letter, or if you attend a lot of outreach events, then you get a higher chance at being able to travel with the team. So that's also something that we can agree with.
I like that.
Scott?
We don't do a lot of outreach events that have more than half the students attend. Transportation is a pretty big barrier for a lot of our students. And so for doing something outside of the off the school property, we do have some underclassmen that do go, but generally it's the students that can drive themselves that are the ones that most often are able to participate. And honestly, a lot of those students are part of our leadership team as well, because they are upperclassmen. So we used to require at least one outreach point. I've talked about points on the roundtable a lot, but we required everybody to participate in at least one outreach activity in order to letter. We pulled back on that in recent years from an equity point of view, simply because transportation is such a challenge for so many of our students. Um, I'd love to do more outreach. I'd love to know how to get more students to do more outreach on our team. But I think logistics is a big challenge for our group, for many of our students.
Yeah, totally. We have sign up geniuses for our events, and we're always like, hey, mention if you can carpool a couple people because we want to encourage underclassmen to come. Charlotte?
like to also add on that we're lucky to have a team that is willing to drive other people. And we also, quite frankly, host a lot of events in our parking lot or like in the school. So it is accessible and from that standpoint, but we do totally get that. Like transportation can be difficult because we have done many a times where it's hard for people to find rides. Now there is somebody in the chat that's talking. Vicky, do you want to read that out?
Oh, sure. Oh, I just lost it. I do not know how. Oh, I got it. So Tanya said that they required 2 outreach events and 2 fundraising events to letter, and they also have outreach and fundraising events available at their high school because of transportation. Um, because of transportation. So do you mean that? Oh, so you will try to base all of your things accessible to students when they're at school, so that they don't have to go out of their way to find transportation. I think I get that.
Not all, but I think you could earn all of your points if you only attended the events that were at the high school.
Oh, perfect. So you're making it easier for students. That's great. I think. Oh, we tend to find outreach events like where we have an activities rush at our school. So if you want to get an outreach event like that, then you can just like be like stand with the poster and be like, "Hey, join our team." Pranya.
I'm from 2530, so we have 40 people, which is more than quite a few. But how we do it is for competitions, we require like X amount of fundraising credits. And we only started this last year, so it kind of changes. But your fundraising credits consist of like grants and what we call like donor letters or the thank you notes we send to businesses to follow up on donations. And then you can also earn points from attending outreach events. And so it all kind of groups together, and that's kind of our incentive for attending outreach events.
Awesome. I see a big pattern amongst our teams. I think that is it. I think I'm going to move on to the next question of how does event planning work for your team? And I had addressed this earlier in the presentation where, like you said, our Talon is a very big robotics team, I would believe. And so we have a lot of people willing to be like, we have event leads. And so that gives people a leadership task, which is something that they're able to letter with. And so if they are an event lead, then that means they're coordinating with the organizers. They're figuring out how to get the robot there, how to get people there. And it just really teaches a lot of people like organizational skills. I was wondering if that's anything similar to what you guys do on your teams.
And then for the sake of time, Vicky, if nobody responds, it's okay to move on.
Okay. Alrighty, I am going to move on then. And one last thing is we have done a Girl Scouts event. I think this is our 2nd year of doing it. And like, how do you guys get Girl Scouts like interested in robotics? It's one of our favorite events because they're just very exciting and they're like, oh wow, look at all these robots, and I love making marshmallow towers. So like, do you guys have an event like that, and what do you guys do in it? Scott.
Every year for during our week 0 event, we have a Girl Scout badge camp session. It lasts half the day, and our now it's been so long since my daughter was part of Girl Scouts. I can't remember what the level is, but I think it's the bottom 2 levels of the robotics badge for Girl Scouts can be all achieved at that week 0 event. I think to get the top tier for the older Girl Scouts, I think there's one other thing they have to do, which they can't do as part of our week 0 thing. But we have several troops. Again, I don't remember the levels, daisies, brownies. I don't remember all the levels, but we have a couple of different groups come in and they go through all the badge requirements, and then they get to go down into the pits during the tournament, week 0 tournament, and talk to the teams and learn about the robots. We've been doing that now for, I'm going to say, 3 or 4 years. We've been hosting the Girl Scout badge event during week 0. And then we have generally 4 to 6 students on our team help with that in the morning while week 0 is happening.
That's very, very cool. I don't know if Talon can replicate that to that same extent, but I didn't even think of inviting them to week 0. That's such a cool experience. I think that is it. If Charlotte, if you want to move the slide.
Alrighty, thank you, Jamie. Or no, Vicky. Jamie is next. So Jamie, if you want to take the floor and introduce yourself, go for it.
Yeah, I'm Jamie. I'm the sponsorship lead for Talon. So the first question I'll talk about is how do you teach students to talk to potential sponsors? So this year during September, which is our training month, I led just going through how you would contact a sponsor through email, and then I also, me and the captains did some cold calling practice where we made up situations and then we had our team members try to work through the situations and figure it out.
I will also add on to the fact that we are student-led mentor guided, which means all of the students are the ones contacting the sponsors, which is why it's particularly important for us, for the students to feel comfortable with talking to adults. Because, for example, tomorrow we're going to go to a lot of companies, and that is scary to just kind of knock on the door. And it takes a very specific type of training or type of person to achieve that. So we're kind of wondering how you guys help prepare students to do that, if they do.
Yes, Stacey?
We started something this last fall called our Centurion Society, where we tried to find 100 businesses that would give us $100 so we could raise 10 grand. And we worked with leadership to come up with and the students, which businesses we should try and call on in the area. There was some, mentor coordination there just from a ability. Not everyone has a phone on our team to be able to coordinate some of those things, but also had kind of helped them develop some scripts of what they were asking for and more of a specific ask and why. And that helped some of our students be more comfortable. And then also going out as teams, so they weren't the only one. There was a little bit of, I guess, comfort in numbers for the team. And we know that for some of our students, just even going and talking to adults that they don't know, that was a big ask. And the fact that they, tried it, we had probably about 80% of the team go out on one of those calls, which was, something new for us. So we'll keep tweaking for future years.
The Century Society thing sounds really interesting. Do you have like a little bit more, detail on like how that came to be, or like what kind of companies you reach out to?
All sorts of companies in the area. It came from, I think I read, I'm the finance mentor and the booster president for 2472. So I had read another team's fundraising idea and thought, well, maybe we could try this. And that's where our students came up with it, and they branded it the Centurion Society, and made lists of all different companies in the area. We didn't find 100 different companies to give us $100, but we did find businesses and families and others. So we surpassed that goal. It helped with some of our students that we had some, if you call it, maybe more friendly donors that agreed to match for a particular period of time. And we had an anonymous donor that stepped forward and had agreed to match what the students had. So that put some maybe an urgency behind, like actually taking action, and not, oh, I'm going to get to that, but oh, I need to get to that by Thursday, because if we get a $100 donation, that's going to be matched from the anonymous donor and from another donor. So that 100 turns into 300. And that was helpful to try and motivate the students. And some of them certainly got very excited and very into it. But they made lists of just all the different area businesses in the area. And they called on everything from STEM companies to an automotive repair place, who we found on our experience, a number of them were excited to give to something that wasn't a sports team in our area, because they hadn't been called on by anything other than sports teams. That's going to, of course, vary by district to district.
Charlotte?
We can definitely relate to kind of the odd companies. We've had Pump It Up donate to us, Caribou does, and I think my first year that I did this sponsorship drive, we had a company that quite literally showed us their pet chameleon and then gave us a check on the spot. So we definitely get the kind of odd companies that will donate. So that's super cool.
I think something that we've seen as well, that the chameleon company was called Crown Automotive. I remember being in their office and being like, oh, that's a little strange. But I think something that we've seen as well is that a lot of local and smaller companies are the best places to go because they tend to have a lot more love in the area and want to support a lot more, students and local organizations. So that's kind of a really good place to start when it comes to fundraising, I would say, and sponsorships as well.
And I will add that by subscribing to the Centurion study, that gets them certain benefits, including emails. And so now that has been something that the students have continued in, having a number of different students from the team write about their experiences. And they are lightly QC'd by the mentors, but we will let it go out with grammatical errors and other things because it really shows that that is from a student. And I've gotten pretty positive feedback from some of the recipients of those emails.
How often do you write those emails? Because I know for us, once we finalize our sponsor list in about February, we'll send out monthly newsletters to our sponsors.
There's an email going out about roughly every 10 days, and we're going to kick it up. Our communication plan is that it will be weekly during the season, during the build season, and then try and target not only the sponsors but also the Centurion study with some of the updates while we're at tournaments.
All right, Jeremiah, did you have something to say?
Coming from a small town, our first year we had a really good success. First 2 years, with success with the smaller businesses sponsoring us quite a bit. But being small town, small businesses, and robotics being so stinking expensive, some of them were like, "Oh yeah, you're doing a great thing." But I think something I'm hearing you guys say that I really do like, and I have to take it back to my team and say, "Hey, let's do something like this." Is the whole, "Hey, let's find 50 businesses around here, or so, and do $50 because then when you go to them like, hey, we hoping each business can give us like $100. To some people, like, okay, you know what, that's reasonable. You guys are doing something very expensive, something very something awesome. So they look at that as an investment, especially if it's a business that could also use students from that in the future for employment.
All right. Does anybody have anything else to add, or I'll go to the next question?
And we are running out of time, so can you guys just tell us when we should stop? If you could.
Yeah.
For now, just continue, Jamie.
Yeah, the next thing was how do you teach students to write emails and grant applications? So we have a couple of different like templates for to email companies, like just cold emails, and then also like we have one for after a sponsorship drive if we talk to them there and they give us a contact and a bunch of other things, and we kind of show our students how to use those to email companies. And then we also just most of how we taught how to apply for grants was we had one of either me or our business captains sit down with a member and fill out a grant with them. Does anybody do any other email practice or grant application systems for something like that?
I think we can also. Well, go ahead.
I will share that, and we've just sort of discovered on our team that until a student has had AP Lit or AP Comp, one of those two, we really struggle with students and their writing skills. Um, so it's a veteran group of students that end up writing most of our content. Um, and that's because we don't do any training of our own. Um, I'm really interested to know what kind of training you're doing, but it might be something that's more involved than what we can get to tonight.
Yeah, it's what we do is we make it easier for people to email by giving them a template that they can build off of, and some most of the time either like they'll look at like whatever company's website and then kind of add something personal to that company to the template, and then just be able to use the well-structured template from our leadership to email them. Yes, Charlotte?
I will say that also for the templates, we have sometimes we'll just give a student a company that they're really passionate about, and then we tell them to write a tailored email, and we kind of give them like all the resources that we have, and then once they write it, we check it over, spell check, make sure that they have the hello, like company name, and then comma, and then a space. So just kind of general grammar things like that we kind of check.
I was just going to add, if anybody is interested or would like to take a look at the templates for our reaching out, I can also put those in the chat if anyone is interested in seeing or accessing those.
Probably emailing captains, and then we'll give you access.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, just expanding. If you would like that, you can email the captains on. So if you go to our website, team2502.com, there should be a big red button, or Maida just put it in chat. So there we go. Thank you, Maida.
We will, if you do like shoot us an email, we will go ahead and send you those templates. And then we'll also just explain a little bit more about how we make sure students are able to write successful and efficient emails to companies. We've learned that they don't really have much patience, so getting straight to the point and being as detailed as possible is the best you can do to maximize your chances.
Next is, how do you teach students how to take pictures and how to make blog posts and social media posts? I know for us, we do a dedicated about an hour long camera training. Our media lead, Audrey, worked on it with some of the other media members, and they each kind of took a specific part of how to use a camera, safety, I don't remember it, like aperture and stuff like that for each part. Audrey probably could talk a little bit more about it than I can.
Yeah, I'd say with the camera training, I just really wanted it to be something where we all have our strengths and weaknesses on the team. I'm weak in picture, so I let the team members train that, so then they get the added bonus of they know how to talk to their friends better than I do. So everyone had at least one section that really spoke to them. Yeah, Charlotte?
I will add that we have a lot more questions to go through, so you can just stop us at any point because I know that we are officially over.
Well, is there anything that you guys wanted to make sure that you covered tonight? That maybe let's pick a couple of highlights of whatever might be remaining, and then close out if that works for you guys. Is there any like, oh, we're holding this to the end because we really want to chat about this? Any stuff like that you want to cover?
We could also, we have, I think, 2 slides left. We can scroll through the last 2 if anybody has any like burning comments for
Sure,
any of them.
let's do that. Yeah, that sounds great.
So this one is making sure that our team members have like good mental health and are able to be as successful as possible on the team by balancing their school life, robotics, and just making sure like we're able to support team members and leadership mentally as well.
If you guys have any response to any of the questions, you can jump in. If not, I think we'll end it.
I think one of the things I'm going to take away from this particular slide here is that you seem to have a lot of social activities with your team, a lot of bonding type of things. I like that. I think that's really great. I did have one question, and I guess it probably falls into this slide here. Um, how large is your non-engineering side of the team?
So I talked about the structure at the beginning, so I can go ahead and answer that. Our team is very integrated. So a good number of the people who do build do business, and a good number of the people who do business do build. One of our lettering requirements is that you have 100 total hours, 20 from the build side and 20 from the business side. So in terms of leadership, we have 8 total people in business leadership, 2 captains, and then 6 leads. And we have 5 total engineering leadership. And then students kind of move in and out and do whatever. Our business side, each of our sub teams has a 1 hour meeting every week. And then when they're not in that 1 hour meeting, often they'll get assignments. And when they finish those assignments, they're free to go ahead and work on the robot if they please, or to, get more involved on a different sub team. It really varies based on the person and what they're interested in doing.
Got it. Well, that answered my next question. When I joined Nightcrawler 11 years ago, we had very isolated robot group and a not robot group. And what I found discouraging with that setup was that you could have 2 students on the team and they might see each other in the hallway and not realize the other student was on robotics. That's not the case anymore. At least I don't feel like that's the case anymore, whether students are attending most or all meetings. Everybody works in the same space. We don't cross work like you guys cross work, where our media students are working, turning a wrench. I think that's very interesting. But that was one of the things I was most interested about, and I think you answered it well. Is that you don't have those group isolation groups, which is really neat.
I think Charlotte was going to add actually the same thing that I would probably add. So Charlotte, you go ahead and do that.
Well, let's see. We do require, if you are on the team and want a letter and travel, that each of everybody commits to a business sub team, which really does help with the integration, because even if you only want to work on the robot, you are required to at least attend one business sub team and then help with whatever they have. We also have a pretty small space, so people are just kind of integrated by default. And there's a question in the chat if somebody would like to read that.
So Chris K says, what got each of the Talon students on this call to join robotics? Wow. I think Audrey kind of answered that in the chat, but a majority of the students on this call, actually, we were all friends before we joined the team, and one member of the team asked all of us to join, and we were all just like, great. So, it was a really handy way to get people on, but I know a lot of students kind of hear about us mutually, and there's a ton of different reasons that students will join. Some students will actually join specifically to be on business or to be on build, because we make it very important that both of the sides are integrated, which is kind of tying back to the last question. Another big reason why we have students work on both, just so people understand that, hey, of course robotics is about building robots and engineering, but what business does, outreaching with our community, helping make STEM more accessible, helping fundraise is equally as important on the team, and to be an active participant in as well. Charlotte.
I would also like to add that while a lot of us did join in as a friend group, because we're so integrated and because we do have a lot of those team builders, we are all friends with each other in some capacity. We talk to each other in school and outside and all the things like that. So it really isn't just the robot, or it isn't just the business. You genuinely join the room and you see a bunch of your friends, which is why I stayed.
All right. I think that is a great point to end on here. I want to say a big round of applause and chat emojis for everyone, please. Great presentation. Did not disappoint. like the one that you guys did in December. Very well put together, and we really appreciate you coming on and sharing all this advice and information. And for those that are listening online on the podcast or watching on YouTube, please share this out. Great info that every team I think can pull something from. Okay, with that, next week we have two presentations coming up that have been arranged by our regional director. So they're kind of first sponsored presentations that'll be coming up in the next 2 months. I believe one's about judging, and I think the other one is about travel specifically to champs. But I don't think I think any traveling you do as a team will probably there'll be good conversations about that. I cannot remember which one is which, but it'll be in the weekly email that I send out. So please consider joining us next week and the week after that. And then following that, which I think is going to put us out to the third weekend in February, we don't have anything. So if you're on the call tonight or if you're listening online, please consider doing what Talon did tonight and hopping on, leading a discussion. It does not have to be a presentation. It does not have to be as amazingly well prepared as what we heard tonight. It can be just something of we're stuck and we need to get unstuck with something, or we had this idea and we want to brainstorm with the group. Whatever your team feels like they could lead a discussion on, do it. It doesn't have to be you teaching. If you just want to lead a discussion, that is totally fine. For the roundtable, discussion is really what this thing is all about. So once again, thank you, Talon, and I hope to see everybody next week. And have a good night. Bye,
Thank you so
everyone.
much for having us.
Thank you so much. That's it for this week's FRC Roundtable. Join us live all season long, every Sunday night. Visit the website at team2052.com/roundtable to sign up for weekly invites. In the meantime, keep building, keep learning, and we'll see you next week.